Hello, I'm Get the Cans, and it's been a while since I've been online. It's going to take a little while getting used to actually being able to express myself in video through YouTube again, but I'm sure I'll get back into the habit. It's not really that hard, but you know, it's actually pretty intimidating making any kind of video, knowing that there are going to be people out there publicly watching it at any given time. You know, so it really is. It is a bit like stage fright when you have to deal with that kind of stuff, and if you've noticed that a lot of the newer YouTubers who make videos are usually pretty shaky at first, and then usually get better as they go on. So hopefully I'll be back to my old self pretty soon. But anyways, as far as Scientology is concerned, and my most recent thoughts about that whole thing is the one thing that's on my mind right now is the Sword-Wielding-Maniac that was shot to death by the security guard. I don't know if you've already heard about that or not, but there was a man who had apparently just shown up at the so-called church one day, wielding two samurai swords, and approached one of the security guards. This is all we know so far. Approached one of the security guards, and the security guard shot him to death. So there's really not any more information on that, really, where the guy was from, what the so-called previous encounters with this man had been, according, that Scientology had alleged that he had been involved in. You know, why he would suddenly decide to pick up a couple samurai swords and suddenly charge the Scientology building. Not exactly sure why that would happen, what led up to that, or what even instigated that whole deal. People don't just suddenly decide to go crazy one day. They don't make that decision. And I know there's a lot of Scientologists out there that think that you have the decision to just make a decision and it just happens in your mind, but unfortunately computers are, our brains are like computers in that you can't just do something. And anybody who knows anything about programming, even the slightest bit, knows exactly how complicated a simple computer can be. So you can just imagine on what it would take to turn a human being into basically a sword-wielding maniac who may or may not have had lethal intentions. It's really hard to say, because unfortunately there's really nothing to be said, because there's nothing on that guy, where he came from, why he would do this. A lot of people say that it seems to be some sort of open and shut case, but the thing is, it isn't open and shut. Even the simplest thing that happens, like say, a security guard taking out somebody who is probably going to kill somebody. It's likely, possible to tell now though, but swords are used for killing, so I would imagine that was his intent. But the thing is, there are facts that led up to that point that may be important, in that it's not simply, maybe might not be even an isolated incident. It might just simply be something that may be a beginning of a new trend of violent action around the so-called churches of Scientology. Or it actually might be just an isolated incident, but who knows? We don't have all the facts, and there's an investigation going on and no one's saying anything, which is pretty standard when it comes to the so-called Church of Scientology. Anything that has anything to do with it, they pretty much find whoever's responsible for finding the facts, and then either legally or using their mafia-like intimidation tactics shut them up about the whole deal, or basically they already know everything and they're still keeping it quiet. You can't just give up, and just like, assume this guy, yeah, he was a sword-wielding maniac, he was shot to death, so open and shut case. It's like, no. That's not the way it works. You can't just, decide that there was, it's just an isolated incident. No, an isolated incident is when somebody shoves somebody else in the parking lot over some over some random argument. That's an isolated incident, because it's a small thing that can happen at any time. Picking up two swords and heading towards the so-called Church of Scientology building with the implied intent, with the wielding of the two swords, to kill people, it's not something that just suddenly happens. People don't just snap one day. It's a gradual process. Movies and video games and books and stuff like that may make you think that, but unfortunately a lot of those things are fake. And the thing is, nobody really knows a whole lot about the human mind, which is why it's so important to study it. But the thing is, the human mind is complicated, and things do lead up to these points. And for what I know about people who go on these massacres, which is, I'm assuming, what would have happened if the man was not stopped, not necessarily killed, but just stopped, is that a lot of that stuff is basically just anger, building up. You take a normal person who goes to work every day, lives their life, pets their dog, kisses their wife before they go to work, all that kind of thing. Normal person, from an average perspective, whatever your version of normal is. A person who basically fits in with the greater society. you know, they don't just suddenly see something, get psycho pissed off, and then pick up weapons and start killing people. You know, that's not normal. There's something wrong there. And even if that person suddenly did do that, chances are there was probably something inside their minds or brains or whatever, using, you know, it's some sort of condition that they must have had that basically caused them to do that. So even then, in regards to this case with the Sword-Wielding-Maniac, you know, there still needs to be an investigation. Was this the kind of guy that did that? You know, was this preventable at all? That kind of thing. You know, I'm gonna kind of feel sorry for the security guard in a way that, you know, he had to kill somebody, but I'm also not really gonna feel sorry for him because they are pretty much trained to do whatever it takes, and I'm pretty sure that even if it wasn't two swords, if it was just, you know, a guy wearing a Guy Fawkes mask holding, you know, two things that he didn't know what it was, he probably would have been shot to death. So it's really hard to say in that regard. But unfortunately, this is probably one of those cases we're probably going to hear about, and if any facts do end up getting out, it's either going to be because, you know, they've, you know, society at large has demanded the facts and then pressured the right people more than Scientology is pressuring them to keep it quiet, to, you know, give the information out, or it will be so many years down the road that the facts won't matter anymore, and most of the information will probably be lost in the trails of time, with the witnesses disappearing and other evidence trails being destroyed through, you know, natural processes of things changing over the course of a lifetime. But anyways, this is my first video in a while, and it's really nice that I'm able to get back online and express myself through video. It's really pleasing, and yeah, so, you know, Merry Christmas to all you guys out there, and you know, try to stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get yourself killed at Walmart, you know, by being part of the throng of folks who are so desperate to grab presents that they will trample people to death. Disgusting. So yeah, be safe. Most important of all, you know. It doesn't matter what you give your family or your loved ones or whatever, or your kids. I mean, it doesn't mean anything if you don't come home for Christmas. So, you know, be safe.